Season 16 is finally here. We've got new skellies, new cannons, and most importantly, new commendations. So join me, or else, as we dive right in. First up, we have Ancient Archaeologist, which requires you to unearth 15 ancient pillars. Now to get there, you'll need to vote up the new Reaper Voyage, which of course can be found under Voyages, under Reapers, and you can sail to or dive to location. This will give you a parchment that'll tell you what island and where on the island that you'll meet the contact. But this voyage will raise the Reaper's Mark flag, so I'd recommend that you go ahead and vote up your Reaper Emissary, since you're going to be marked on the map anyway. You might as well get some benefit out of it. Once you get to the island, the contact, aka this bird, will be sitting just above some cracks in the ground, which, if you dig at, will reveal the chest of bones. Once fully uncovered, you can break the seal on this chest, and it'll give you 3 skelly allies to help you through the rest of the voyage. At this point, you'll want to check your quest radial for another parchment, and this one will give you 3 locations on the island with general directions by picture and by words. Now you can certainly try and find these on your own, but to be honest, every time I got in the general vicinity, my skelly started digging it up before I'd even figured out where it was. You can help them dig this up, but you don't have to get progress on the commendation. I can confirm that you don't even need to be in the area. Next up is Relics for the King, which requires you to sell 50 Skulls of the Banished to the Reapers. Once you've completed the voyage, which requires unlocking all 3 pillars, fighting off tons of waves of phantoms, and digging up a sarcophagus, you'll be awarded with the Skull of the Banished, which of course is just 1 per voyage, and watch out because this skull is marked on the map for everyone to see. Something worth mentioning, although it's probably not intended, when I put this skull into this treasure chest and checked the map, it actually was not marked, so it may hide it for now. Anyway, assuming that you can get to Reapers without any complications, all you need to do is sell the skull. Next is Bony Bodyguard, which requires you to complete the Reaper Voyage without any skellies dying more than 6 times. I think this is very easy to get done. I'd recommend that every time the phantoms spawn, you just help out your skellies with the fight. Honestly, they'd probably be fine without you, but better safe than sorry. If any of your skellies go down, you can just revive them, or if you really want to play it safe, you can leave them dead for the rest of the voyage, but again, I think this is very easy to get done. I'd be really surprised if any of your skellies went down more than 3 times each. Assuming you've done everything correctly, as soon as you grab the Skull of the Banished, you will get the commendation. Next up is Rusty Rescuer, which requires you to unearth 30 Order of Bone and Blade skeletons. From what I can tell, these little helpers only spawn on large islands, but in my experience they've been a 100% spawn rate. In fact, most islands I've been to have had at least 2 of them somewhere on the island. It'll take 2 digs to unearth them, and then you just hold interact key to revive, and then they'll follow you around, help you kill mobs, dig up treasure, and you can even hand them pieces of loot if you'd like them to carry something. You can see them from a ways out with a little red glow from their hand, and then of course, when you get close, there's a little skeleton hand sticking up out of the ground. They'll follow you around for as long as you're on the island, and as far as I can tell, you can revive them an indefinite amount of times. Our next 4 commendations are Wild Order, Ancient Order, Plentiful Order, and Roaring Order, and these require you to complete 10 voyages in each of the 4 Sea of Thieves regions with a skelly helper. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I believe these only spawn on large islands, so if you're going out of your way for these commendations, make sure that you stick to large island voyages only. I was able to confirm that this counts for voyages voted on your ship. This also counts for skelly captain maps and messages in a bottle, so if you just pick up whatever you can find, this should be pretty easy to knock out. Explosive Surprise is next, which requires us to give a skelly helper a gunpowder keg to carry. Now this is super simple. Once you have your skelly helper, just find a keg, give item, and you have the commendation. Although I would recommend that you take the keg back from him, or the next enemy you run into will blow him to smithereens. Following that is Mobile Mortar, which requires you to give a skelly helper a Cannon of Rage to carry. Now the hard part here is finding a Cannon of Rage. I was lucky enough to find one on the beach where they do spawn. You can also get them occasionally in Sea Fort vaults, and a guaranteed spawn in every Fort of Fortune and Skelly Stronghold vault. Once you get your cannon, just get to an island where you can get a helper, give it to them, and you get the commendation. Moving on, we have Rageful Cannoneer, which requires you to defeat 150 enemies using the Cannon of Rage. Now, something I learned very quickly, and very much the hard way, is that when this cannon explodes, it is gone. For some reason, I thought it would behave like the Chest of Rage, where when it explodes, you have a big explosion, and it's still there for you to interact with. But no, this cannon is gone, you won't have it anymore. So, if you're going to have it on an island or near enemies, I recommend you make sure you can keep it safe. Assuming you can, you get a maximum of 5 shots before you overheat it, Though, again, if you're at risk of enemies hitting it, I'd recommend you keep that around 3 to 4 so you don't risk it overheating on you. Next is Twice Cursed Cannoneer, which requires you to use the Cannon of Rage to hit an enemy ship with 5 curse balls. Luckily, this can be done against both skellies and player ships, so you can just pull up to your nearest skelly fleet and get this done. I will warn you, the Cannon of Rage has a pretty small turn radius, so you'll definitely need to aim your shots very well, but with a little practice and a little patience, you can definitely get this done. Following that is Burning Bombardment, which requires you to use the Cannon of Rage to hit enemy ships with 20 firebombs. Similarly to the curse balls, this will take a little time and patience. This can be done against players or skelly ships. Additionally, if you take damage, I'd recommend that you leave one hole unpatched, as that'll give you an endless supply of water at the bottom of your ship, which will come in very handy because these cannons take a lot of water to cool down. Next up is Skeletal Sabotage, which requires you to destroy a Cannon of Rage on an enemy ship while wearing the Skelly Curse. Now, for those of you that don't have the Skelly Curse yet, unfortunately, you will be out of luck for the time being for these commendations. If you don't already know, the Skelly Curse comes from level 100 in the Servants of Flame Hourglass rep, and going to Reaper's Hideout for a ritual. Assuming you have the curse and you have it on, you'll just need to get onto an enemy ship and blow up their Cannon of Rage. Now, you could do this from your ship by shooting them with cannonballs. If they have a standing Cannon of Rage and you hit it, it would overheat it. Your other option is to board and then either hit their Cannon of Rage with a cutlass or shoot at it and overheat it that way. Next, we have Masterful Tactics, which requires you to hit masts with 50 chain shots using the Cannon of Rage in Skelly Curse. Now, it doesn't specify enemy, so I did try this on my own ship as well as skelly ships. Unfortunately, neither counts, so you will have to hit this specifically against enemy player ships while in the Skelly Curse. Next is Reaper Rivals, which requires you to sell 15 stolen Skulls of the Banished as a Reaper's Emissary in Skelly Curse. Now, you could track down players and take their loot and sell it, or you could camp the sell point like I did. Now, this cheeky little bugger, he got it sold, but you get the idea. Lastly for the Skelly Curse is Bony Bandit, which requires you to sell 3 stolen Reaper's Chests or Chest of Bones. Like I said before, you can either hunt players down and take their loot, or wait for them to come to you. The only criteria for it being stolen is that another crew picked it up before you did. Now, you may notice in this clip that I'm not wearing the Skelly Curse, and that's because I'm an idiot, so don't be like me. If you have an opportunity like this, make sure that you have the Skelly Curse on so you get credit. Moving on, we have Rusty Rollick, which requires you to kill 30 Skelly Helpers as an Athena's Fortune Emissary. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't test this one as I didn't run into any players on islands, but the premise is you'll need to be flying Athena's Emissary, and you'll need to encounter other players on islands who have revived these Skelly Helpers, and then you'll need to kill their Skellies. Maybe you'll get lucky and you'll run into a player who would be willing to just revive their Skelly over and over and let you grind the Commendation. If not, I think this may take you quite a few encounters to get all 30. Especially because this doesn't count for the voyage skellies, this only counts for the ones that you dig up one at a time. Rowing Devotion is next, which requires you to dock a rowboat with the Reaper's Bones livery to your ship. Now, like any rowboat, these have a random chance to spawn on islands. The Reaper's Bones livery looks like this. It's got kind of glowing red runes in the front with an otherwise black hole around the rest of it. So just take this to your ship, dock it, and you're good to go. On the other hand, Order of Paddle and Blade requires you to dock a rowboat with the Order of Bone and Blade livery to your ship. Now, I saw these for weeks leading up to the season, but this week I couldn't actually find one, so here's a couple images of it online. It's got a kind of maroon and black hole with some runes carved into the side. And that is a wrap on Season 16, at least until we get new features in a month. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you're watching this late enough in the season, Part 2 to this guide will be linked here. If not, here's a video of mine that YouTube thinks you'd like. If you feel I've earned a like and sub, please consider dropping it. It would really make my day. Either way, I'll see you in the next one.